Here is shown a barge alongside a vessel loading a cargo of explosives and ammunition, including a consignment of ammunition in the tri-pack. In this scene, you will see a member of the Coast Guard loading detail on duty on the deck of the vessel, and at the hatch. The tri-pack lends itself to excellent stowage on board a vessel. This is well illustrated here. You will note that this is a Type B magazine. A landing mat is in position to receive the draft, and the Coast Guard member of the loading detail on duty in this hold is actively supervising this stowage. The handling of the tri-pack by the longshoreman, as shown here, illustrates the care which should be taken in handling all packages of ammunition. The use of cord wood, indicated by the arrow as dunnage, is very desirable for certain types of stowage, especially in the wings or where broken stowage occurs. Good stowage consists of maintaining a good, tight foundation. Note the wing dunnaging at the shell of the vessel, the protection in the way of the frame and overhead deck beam bracket, and filling out the broken stowage. Most smokeless powder in bulk is shipped in metal cans or wooden boxes having metal liners. These cans are packed with 110 pounds of smokeless powder. Nets with pallets or ply plates shall always be used in handling these packages. The net should enclose the load so that not more than 1/3 of the container projects above the net. In handling cans of smokeless powder, bear in mind that the principal hazard involved is in the event the powder seeps from the can, it will readily be ignited from sparks, open flame, and may be ignited by friction. This is an excellent container, but has one weakness. The lugs which hold the spider locking means for the cover can be bent sidewise fairly easily. When this happens, the cover can be jarred off and the powder will escape. Check every can. Be sure its cover is locked in place. Do not roll these cans except on their base, and do not stow with the cover end down. This is an example of the stowage of a considerable amount of smokeless powder in bulk in a Type B magazine. The partition bulkheads shown in the left and right foreground are the type of partition bulkheads required when the initial dimension of the magazine exceeds 40 feet in any direction. Here is shown the smokeless powder metal can used for bulk shipments. After the cover is locked in place, the spider locking means is secured with a wire and seal. The ammunition inspector removes the wire seal and withdraws the cover. Check these packages to be certain each one is securely sealed. The inspector shows the powder grains as packed in the can. Bombs constitute one of the most important valentines we are dispatching for Messieurs Hitler and Tojo. Bombs of a size greater than 100 pounds are shipped without boxing or crating. 2 protecting rings are fitted around such bombs to prevent damage to the lugs that are used in securing the bomb in the bomb bay of the plane. There are 2 generally used methods for removing bombs from a freight car. A portable, self-propelled gasoline or electric-driven cargo hoist having a forked lift is one method. The other method involves the use of slings and the ship's cargo hoist. Here is shown bombs being removed by the second method. Great care should be exercised to ensure that the bombs are not subjected to unnecessary shock or damage. Always require a restraining line to be used to control travel of the bomb during its lateral movement out of the freight car. This is the type of stowage adopted in one port for bombs. Note each bomb is individually chalked off. The bombs are nested and each tier is floored off. This is the type of stowage where the bombs are not nested, but are stowed in crate fashion on skids. Bombs are generally loaded with a composition of TNT and ammonium nitrate. They are shipped unfused and exactly as you see one here. The nose plug protecting the aperture for the nose fuse is inserted only hand tight. Do not subject this plug to shock. Tail fin assemblies for bombs over 100 pounds are shipped in an individual metal crate. The ammunition inspector packs the arming wire and arming vane in the round shallow can. He now is packing the tail fuse, which is of the type that will detonate on impact. Next, the nose fuse. The U-shaped metal guard is provided to protect against the accidental arming of the fuse. It is on this fuse that the arming vane or propeller is fitted. The three cans containing the arming wire and arming vane, tail fuse and nose fuse are ingeniously stowed within the fin assembly and are shipped thus. Tail fin assemblies are permitted to be stowed in the same hold with bombs, but the stowage shall be top stowage, well dunnaged and braced to prevent movement in any direction. They shall never be overstowed with other cargo or subjected to pressure sidewise by shifting cargo. Bomb fuses are loaded with the sensitive initiating and detonating compositions. Do not take chances with fin assemblies when fuses are stowed in the same crate. 2 drafts of tail fin assemblies are shown. These drafts leave much to be desired in affecting safe handling. A pallet should be used, the crates tiered higher, but on a small base, with the net completely encompassing the load. Dropping one of these assemblies from the height of this lift could spell finish for this vessel. This draft is being made up of bomb fuses packed in circular metal cans. When packed in this manner, bomb fin stowage may be utilized. Here you see a 100-pound bomb in a metal crate. The ammunition inspector indicates the descriptive name as it appears on the crate. Now he indicates the length of bomb body proper, then the overall length including tail fin. Now he points to the metal box in which the fuse is packed. Here is one of the most delicate combinations of destructive explosives and precision instruments devised by man. Do not be so careless in your supervision to permit a single torpedo to be rendered useless. If you are not concerned with your safety, think of the fighting man on the ship or plane that's counting on this torpedo. The torpedo for planes is shipped in 2 sections. For surface vessels and submarines, usually in 3 sections. You have seen the experts assembling a torpedo as used on our fighting ships. Here is the same torpedo being boxed for shipment. This is the afterbody, and the box is clearly marked indicating its contents. No explosives are included in this package. Nevertheless, it contains delicate mechanisms and should be handled with extreme care. You now see the package for the center body or air flask. This is also plainly marked, and no explosives are included in this package. This is a separate package in which the exploder mechanisms are shipped. These are truly sensitive mechanical assemblies. Do not subject them to rough handling. They also contain initiating and detonating components. This is the package in which the warhead is shipped. The warhead contains the high explosive composition, and this package shall be handled with care. Other packages of explosives and ammunition include, but are not limited to, the following. The tri-pack here shown has been explained to you earlier. These are 105 millimeter and 75 millimeter howitzer gas ammunition. Note the caution, do not drop. The inspector shows the packing of one unit of the tri-pack. This is 75 millimeter chemical ammunition for cannon. In this scene, the inspector is showing the packing of the 75 millimeter fixed ammunition for cannon with explosive projectile TNT loading. Here you see the inspector unpacking the 155 millimeter propellant powder charge for separate loading ammunition. Here is a view of the 155 millimeter separate loading shell, which is fired by the propellant charges you have just seen. In stowage, the rotating band should be protected by the grommet. Do not cause injury to the combined plug and lifting eye, because after arrival overseas, the fuse is inserted in this aperture and it must fit perfectly. This represents an excellent method of tray loading of these shells. The egg crate type of stowage shown here affords complete protection, and flooring off can be accomplished with ease using this type stowage. Small-size mortar ammunition is also shipped in the tri-pack container. These are two armor-piercing shells, one crated, one uncrated. Do not allow the base plate of the uncrated shell to be subjected to damage. Small arms ammunition is relatively the safest type of ammunition. Note the hermetically sealed metal lining. This is .30 caliber small arms ammunition in individual cartons, in bandoliers, and in machine gun belts. Small arms ammunition may be stowed with any other type of explosives or military ammunition. Be absolutely certain that no small caliber ammunition having explosive bullets is described as small arms ammunition. Such is classed as high explosive fixed ammunition. 20 millimeter with solid armor piercing projectile. Note, this is not a high explosive projectile. If it was, it would be marked 20 millimeter ammunition for cannon with explosive projectile and would then be treated as class 4 ammunition. All boxes of this type are secured with a wire and lead seal. A box that has been tampered with will have a mutilated seal or no seal. This is a high explosive rifle grenade, caliber .30. Do not stow this package on board ship in proximity of the heat bulkheads. Fragmentation hand grenades. Do not permit rough handling of any type grenade. Percussion caps, primers, detonating fuses, ignition fuses, time fuses, mechanical time fuses, and blasting caps constitute a particularly sensitive group of component parts of ammunition. This type of ammunition requires detonator stowage. Avoid shock from rough handling. Observe distant separation from other explosives and other ammunition. Load in trays with sideboards. Do not stack above the height of the sideboards. Trays of this type ammunition shall not be swung over open hatches or holds containing ammunition, explosives in bulk, or other dangerous cargo. Do not roll, skid, or shoot these packages. Handled by tray or mechanical hoist, and the maximum weight of one lift shall not exceed 1,000 pounds. Handling by hand is also permitted. Anti-tank mines are packed with their own fuses. Because the fuses are in the package, use extreme care in handling. Spotting charges. All such box-type ammunition shall be stowed top side up. Every box of ammunition is marked to describe the contents, and also marked with the shipping name as given in the regulations. In this instance, ammunition for cannon with solid projectile is the shipping name. The black paint on the projectile indicates a solid projectile. This group of ammunition is described as pyrotechnics, and its shipping name is fireworks. Rockets having high explosive loadings are not classified as fireworks, but as fixed ammunition, Class 4. Ground signals. Green star blinker aircraft signals. Red star cluster aircraft signals. High burst ground signals. Single star red aircraft signals. Drift signals. Aircraft flare and parachute. Regulations stress careful handling. The sensitivity of explosives cannot always be foretold. They are designed to function by ignition or by shock of detonation. They are capable of functioning prematurely from outside shock. Another reason is a damaged piece of ammunition failing to function might end in disaster to our men in the field or on our fighting ships. Pallet loading for boxed explosives and ammunition, when protected by a crate or an overall net, offers one of the safest methods of loading. This is a type of pallet and tray developed in one of the ports for use in loading ammunition. In the handling of ammunition from freight cars, the Coast Guard detail shall constantly check to be certain no rough handling occurs, that no damaged packages are loaded on the tray, and that the net encompasses the load. For this type of loading, make sure that the landing mattress is in place. This package represents simple stowage, and these scenes show a job well done. The Coast Guard seaman in the hold shall be alert at all times, observing every activity and knowing exactly and completely what goes on in the hold. This is his responsibility. Deep tanks, principally because they are capable of being sealed tightly, offer excellent stowage facilities for chemical ammunition. This stowage is being made in the deep tanks in the number 1 hold of a Liberty-type vessel. It is required that packages be tommed off to prevent movement in any direction. The officer in charge of the detail is inspecting the tomming. This is one of the packages being stowed in the deep tanks. Observe the markings on the box. When the loading operation is not continuous and the work period ends, or upon the completion of loading and after the detail has made a thorough inspection of the hold, the strong backs and hatch covers shall be put in place and covered with the tarpaulin. Unauthorized persons shall never be allowed in a hold containing explosives. Closing the hatches simplifies the enforcement of this rule and protects against sparks or fire getting into the hold. A considerable tonnage of military explosives constituted part of the cargo on board this vessel. The fire occurred in the hold containing gasoline and metal containers. Its spread was too rapid to control. No further comment is necessary. This picture tells its own story. Know your regulations. There are 2 codes of regulations. Every man attached to the detail shall personally possess a copy of each code. The short title of this code is Explosives or Other Dangerous Articles on Board Vessels. The regulations in this code define explosives or other dangerous articles, including military explosives, tell the required methods of packing, give the descriptive name and shipping name, and set forth how the articles shall be handled and stowed aboard a vessel. The provisions are applicable to merchant vessels, to owners, charterers, agents, masters, and all other persons handling or stowing explosives or other dangerous articles on said merchant vessels. This is Section 29 of the Explosives Code, applicable to the transportation of military explosives during war. This supplement is printed in pamphlet form for convenience only. Shown here is the stowage chart as it appears in this supplement. Note that the stowage of these 2 substances in the same hold is not permitted. The second code, known by the short title Anchorage Regulations, covers the security of ports and the control of vessels in the navigable waters of the United States. Under the provisions of this code, the District Coast Guard officer and the captain of the port are authorized to control 1. The movement of vessels, 2. The anchorage of vessels, 3. The anchorage of vessels carrying explosives and other dangerous articles, 4. The use of established explosives loading anchorages, 5. The designation of explosives loading terminals outside the anchorages, 6. The authority for a vessel to load or unload explosives, 7. The longshoremen engaged in the loading or unloading of explosives and other necessary operations in this connection. All these are provisions of this code. The importance of the work entrusted to the Coast Guard to provide safety in the handling and stowage of explosives on board merchant vessels cannot be overemphasized. The man charged with the responsibility of administering the program of security of our ports and the handling and stowage of explosives on board merchant vessels has a message for his officers and men and all other persons engaged directly or indirectly in the handling and stowage of explosives in the ports of the United States. Vice Admiral Russell R. Waesche, Commandant, United States Coast Guard.
It is the responsibility of the Coast Guard to exercise supervision over the movements of explosives on board merchant vessels within our ports to protect against fire, sabotage, rough or careless handling, improper stowage, and to insist upon all persons observing the provisions of the regulation. To the officers and men of the Coast Guard and to all other persons handling or stowing explosives, I say it is necessary for you to know the regulations, to observe and to enforce them, that we may secure the maximum measure of security for our ports and their very vital facilities, to ensure the protection of life and property, and moreover, to be certain that our armed forces in the field receive these necessary implements of war on time, in sufficient quantity, and in an undamaged condition. Particularly to you officers and men of the Coast Guard, I say study these regulations and know them. Study this training film over and over again. Be eternally vigilant when on an explosive loading detail, and know every circumstance about the operation of the handling and stowage of explosives and the physical condition of the vessel. Failure to know and observe the regulations may result disastrously. Many of you are familiar with the inherent characteristics of explosives, especially the military types. Certain safety elements are incorporated in their design, manufacture, and as prepared for shipment. Regardless of this safety factor, it may never be known when some change may have taken place which requires only a little abuse to cause a casualty. It cannot be denied that it is possible to handle or stow explosives or ammunition in a manner different than that prescribed by the regulations. However, the regulations represent a consensus of opinion as to a safe method, and this method must be followed until such time as it may be changed. You have one chance when handling sensitive types of explosives and ammunition. Be certain it is being done correctly. Take nothing for granted. Know your own job and discharge your responsibility in a thorough, workmanlike manner. I consider that this particular phase of our functions is as important as any of our activities. Without these very necessary explosives and ammunition, our armed forces would indeed be in bad straits. It is your job to see that it may never be said that we failed to do our part to ensure the delivery of this ammunition on time and in good condition.